The Books That Shaped Me is proudly sponsored by WinStar Insurance Group, right out of Cedar Park, Texas. Owned and operated by Stephanie Dew, my dear friend. Early on in her career, she knew what it was like to feel undervalued. And she vowed that if she ever had an opportunity to be in leadership, she was going to do it different. And she does. She values each of her employees and her clients with the utmost integrity and respect and kindness that you'd ever imagine. So they've got a specialty in their business. They take care of first responders. They've got wineries, breweries, childcare facilities, and the employees themselves are so excited to be there. And they talk about how they haven't felt valued anywhere else like they do there. So it's hats off to Stephanie and WinStar Insurance Group because our values align with faith, trust, and authenticity. Thank you, Stephanie, from the bottom of my heart and those of us that hang out with the books that shaped me. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Books That Shaped Me with Angie Smith. This is an exciting moment, Miss Carrie Kass. Firstly, because you're here, but also because this is the first episode in season 2.
Oh, exciting.
So welcome back,
know
everyone.
Thank
I
you.
know. Confetti. Insert confetti spray here.
I love it. I love it.
So we have made our way through conversations from my friends who have young friends, old friends, new friends, guy friends, girlfriends. And today you and I are sitting here, and the way we became our friendship was through Pieces to Purpose.
Yes.
So that was back in 24. So we got a couple years of friendship under our belt.
Absolutely.
And that was an opportunity where Miss Teresa Poor, founder of Unbreakable Enterprises, had a vision, had an idea aligned with Sulit Press, Miss Michelle Savage, shout out there as well, and brought 17 women together who had been through some things.
Yes.
And we put our stories together in that multi-author book. We put it out there for the world to see. We shared our lives, our moments. And I think we shared some inspiration. I know that they were saying they wanted to maybe give out some Kleenex with our books because there were some hard times.
There were.
But it was a great time to be in a group with women who have really gone through things and continue to stand up and share those lessons learned and reach out to the folks behind and say, come on, we got this together.
Yes.
And that's how you and I got connected, Carrie.
Yes.
And it's because of that I invited you here today to learn about you and your journey that brought you up to that moment. And maybe even since then, you had adventures since then, and hear what are the books that have shaped you. So thank you for joining me.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. It's exciting to be back in this studio. I've been here a couple of times, so it feels like home now.
Come on back.
Yeah, Pieces to Purpose, ironically, would be my answer to one of the books that shaped me, because not just because I was an author in it, but it really opened my eyes and made me revisit a lot of things that throughout the years and different decades of my life, I just kind of shoved to the side, shoved down, whatever you want to call it, like just kind of, set it, forget it, like it never happened. And it made me just really kind of reflect, right? And as I was writing it, I remember just staring at a blank page for so long and really realizing, like, if I write what I want to write, this is going to open up a lot of conversations with a lot of people who either we kind of haven't talked about any of those things, or with people who know none of this about me. And so it was a very vulnerable moment, just sitting there with that blank page and going like, okay,
I'm about to do this.
And it was the same thing when I hit send. I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's getting real.
Yes. I remember I sent Meg a text and I was like, I just sent it. I think I'm going to throw up. But in a good way.
Yeah.
Because you have all of this adrenaline and just all of these thoughts and emotions going on. And truly there were things that I haven't either thought about or talked about either ever or for years, stemming all the way from my childhood and just how I grew up and different situations with dad and, divorces and, another dad and just like life, right? All the way through my college years, going through a sexual assault and then being married in my first marriage and all that entailed. So there was just a lot of trauma and turmoil and angst that came up from that. But it was the most beautiful thing. And it really created some some fantastic conversations,
Mm.
like numerous. I have a really close knit college girlfriend group, and several of them, were just calling me or texting me saying like, how did you never talk about this?
Wow.
Like, why did I not know about this?
Wow.
And, the title of that book was, I forget exactly what it is, something about the dimmer switch. You can't dim, the dimmer switch.
Yeah.
And I think I always operated in a space of like, I'm not going to let anything dim my light. Like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm strong. I'm an overcomer. And that served me for a period of time, but it also didn't when I reflect back on it. Right. I'm like, there are a lot of things I could have done differently or could have handled things differently. But you don't know until you get to a different point.
We're young. We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And then everything that you just talked us through, it felt like a layer, like a shirt, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a jacket. It's just like another layer on top of the things. And you're focused on finishing your college degree, finish on, getting the next job, whatever it is that's that thing that you're focused on. And you're just shouldering all these additional burden. So for you to sit there and take the time to peel back the layers, take a look at the lens and see the impact that each of those experiences put on you. Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
When the page is blank, when the button that pressed send was pushed.
Yeah. I'm sure you felt the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're just like, I can't believe I'm actually putting this like out there for people to read.
Yeah.
Like this is now public information. Yeah. But like I said, some really powerful conversations came out of that. After I spoke at the first Unbreakable Women's Conference, I had numerous people come up to me and just either thank me or just say, I feel you.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it was one thing or the other. I hope not many people had all the stacked up things that I had, but I think there was something that touched so many different people in different ways. And that to me it was just so incredible and so heartfelt. And it made it like solidified the reason that I wrote it. I wrote it for me.
Yeah.
But seeing how it affected and touched other people was really so inspiring to me and made me want to start sharing more, and it gave me the courage to get up on stage and say those things out loud into a microphone in front of real people.
Real
it's
live
one thing
people.
when you're just writing it in your room and you submit it and you're like, okay, it's going to be in a book and maybe I don't even have to ever look at the book. Right.
Yeah.
But when you choose to put a microphone in your hand and you see hundreds of women sitting out in front of you and you verbalize what you put down on paper. I mean,
it just went from
that could be a trauma in itself.
It went from like 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like we went from theoretical to real life. Like it's getting real up in 100%. Here. It's getting real.
But it's amazing how just confident I felt, like once I got it out of my system and on that paper and into the book, when it came time to talk about it, it just came so naturally. Wow. So that was a huge shift for me. So I would say probably of any book ever in my lifetime, that was probably the most impactful.
Yeah.
Because of what it did for me behind the scenes.
It ushered you to a new stage and phase in life.
Yeah. Yes.
And just think if you hadn't said yes to that opportunity.
Yeah.
Every experience you just articulated, whether it was your college girlfriend knit group of folks, the people in the audience, the people who read the book, who never circle back to talk to you, how many people's lives wouldn't have been touched if you didn't say yes, if I didn't say yes. Yeah. And that with the name of your chapter about not dimming your light, it's the counter medicine to what we want to do when we have gone through a hard thing, which is to subscribe to shame, which is to not talk about it, which is to keep it in that box in the corner and let it grow dust. We don't want to talk about it. Yeah. But the countermeasure of bringing it back into the light just debunks all those lies that would hold us back and helps bring other people into their freedom because you told your story.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's inspired me. So I have another multi-author book with a different publisher this time coming out in August. And I would call it not a continuation, but kind of an elevation of that original story that I shared. It's definitely a little more in depth, a little more detailed, and a little more focused on even just this past year of my life. But it just putting that on paper and thinking about it, but it made me think about it in a different way. This time it wasn't, gosh, I'm being so vulnerable and putting all this out there and bringing up things from my past that I haven't thought about.
Yeah.
I've already done that.
Yeah.
So this time I was thinking, what did those things, what were the consequences for me that basically I gave to myself by shoving it down and not talking about things? And what I figured out through all of those traumas and all of those things that happened was every single layer kept acquiring my voice, kept acquiring who I was. And finally, just this past year, and I think it was because I was in a role, in a position for 15 years, that private equity walked in, my role was eliminated. And so I was using this word, the business got acquired, the business got acquired, the business got acquired. So I think that was in my brain. And I woke up one morning and it was literally just downloaded into my brain, the unacquired voice. And I'm like, how do you get to that? Because everybody has, by either how you were raised, by traumas in life, by societal expectations, by climbing a corporate ladder and just having to claw your way, in whatever career or path that you're going, those things all chunk away little pieces of you. Before you know it, you're like, who am I? Right? Not just as an individual, but like, how do I show up in relationships? How do I show up for my friends? How do I show up in my community? How do I show up as a leader in my business or as a leader of people in any organization? And it just really made me start thinking about that. And this past year, it's kind of been my path and journey of like, I'm taking my voice back.
Yes, ma'am.
My boundaries are getting reinstated. I know who I am. I know what I want. Not saying this is all, hunky-dory 100% in a year, but that's the path that I'm on, right? Like, I know, like, I can visualize and say, I know what that took from me. And I want it back. And that's what we're going for. And that's what the unacquired voice is. So that's what this new chapter
That's what it's
is
titled.
about.
Oh my goodness. I got such goosebumps when you said that, because it's just like acquired. It's like you said, chipping away. It's taking your agency. It's taking a version of flavor. Your name, like when you're doing business, you mentioned all those years committing to that company. It's your name and your face, your brand, building and the business is benefiting. But then this exercise experience happens, and then you're just like outsourced, and it's like, what? Wait, what? I'm struggling to come up with the words. They took the essence and they shoved the person.
It's almost like your identity gets stripped away. Because so many people, and I'm not the only one, so many people put so much of themselves into their job or their role or their career, whatever you want to call it. Even as stay-at-home moms, a lot of moms do that, right? Like their whole identity is just as being a mom, and they lose a part of themselves as well, and men and women. This isn't just women we're talking about. And that's what happened. And it was like this mind shift of like, you just feel like your mind's running in circles when it first happens. And then, I don't know, things just started like becoming very clear very quickly, which made me realize like, this is supposed to be happening. It's not comfortable. Didn't like it. Didn't like the way it went down. But now that I'm at where I am, you kind of see like, okay, I see the path that I'm being guided on, right? And I see where I'm supposed to go, and I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I have so much to offer and so much to give and so much to talk about that one little section of life didn't allow me to do.
Exactly.
Right. And it was then I was just like, why am I committing so much time and so much energy to someone else's dreams?
That's right. I think that's the craziest thing, because I have a similar journey, right? Of just, it's been 12 weeks now where I've had a shift in the way I'm doing life, the way I'm showing up. And the point that you just made there toward the end about you wouldn't have been available for these new opportunities if you were still connected to that previous chapter. And that's the thing that continues to just blow my mind, that I'm looking around at the next right step, the next door that's opening, the next conversation. And it's like, that just happened.
Yes.
That was cool. And we're getting to live this life.
When you're going in the right direction, things just do kind of appear and pop up. And bonkers,
It's
right?
bonkers. The best bonkers.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, game on to new adventures, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
scary when it's happening. Jolting is the word I kept using. I felt jolted. Like the wind got kicked out of me. And it
That's a
takes
great
you,
word.
right?
Yeah.
It takes you a minute to reorient and like you said, settle down. And then, you're, squeaky with the lens. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I can see clearly now the
Mhm.
rain is gone.
Yes.
And now we have new adventures.
Yeah. And isn't that great?
I love it. Well, I think it's very fitting that Pieces to Purpose was the number one book that just shaped your entire who you are and how you're showing up in the world right now because of all those things you've articulated from a writer author perspective to the collaborative component of like the tribe that we got to meet with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what else, Carrie, would you say has been a contributing factor in the person that you are showing up as today?
I think growing up, I was an only child. So, if you know anything about only children, we're very good at being alone.
Yes.
I wasn't ever the child that was like always choosing to be alone. I mean, I had a bunch of friends, but I could operate very well alone. I was a latchkey kid when I was 8. So, I was coming home, feeding myself, doing my homework on my own, very self-sufficient.
Mhm.
Um, and I just always thought about community, right? Because I was always seeking people
Yes.
outside, whether it was from a young age in grade school or middle school, high school, through college. I was always looking for my tribe and my community.
Yes.
And I think some books, and just a lot of life circumstances led to that. And what I think I've done really well in life is build connections, build community, build relationships, and that's really the basis of humanity anyway, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just I remember a book that I read when I was a kid, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein.
Yes.
I mean, I can still see the green cover
Me
and the
too.
little drawing of the kid in the tree.
Yes.
And at a young age, that book, I remember how much it resonated with me. And I remember thinking of the dichotomy of the message, right? Like, is this kid just a taker, from the tree? And this tree is kind of like being a martyr,
Yeah.
and just knowing that it can give it away, or is there a real sense and talk of like a community there, and love is the basis of it. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful story. And I read it so many times when I was a kid. And that's just always, I think that was kind of the start of me thinking like showing up for people, right? Being a giver, not always approaching things and what can I get from you, and some can look at that little boy, he needed apples and then he needed branches and then he needed a place to sit. So, you can be that. And I think a lot of people are that unintentionally often too.
Sure.
And that's just equated and grown into my professional life and how I choose to show up as a leader, as a manager, as a founder, as a community person. Just show up for people and do it well and do it earnestly and do it authentically. I talk a lot about networking these days and like the icks of networking, and so many people are uncomfortable walking into a room of people they don't know, and you're kind of all buttoned up and you're rehearsing your elevator speech in your head and you have your business cards and you're just like stiff armed and you don't know what to say. And the first thing you say is like, "Hi, what do you do?" And I'm like, and I've mentored a couple of younger, like recent grads recently who are kind of going into, either healthcare or, consulting or business. I'm like, please just, if you can do anything, just don't ever say that sentence when you walk into a room of people. But, it's about, again, it's just like shifting the way we think about it, right? Like you don't have to meet or talk to every single person in the room.
Right.
Find 2, make a solid connection, get their number in your phone,
Yes.
get a coffee or a lunch or a Zoom or something on the calendar right there.
Yes.
That's how you build relationships.
Success.
Because once you leave the room, you might lose their card.
Yeah.
You might just forget. People get busy. It goes to the wayside. You don't think about it. You're not even connected on LinkedIn. You can't find the card. You're like, oh my gosh, who was that person? I wanted to talk to him so badly. I don't remember what the name of the company was they worked for, right? It happens all the time.
Happens to all of us. It does.
So, and believe me, that happened to me. That's how I operated. I was just like, I want to meet everybody and everybody. And I want to like, you feel like a winner if you come home with like a stack of business cards like this. But in the reality, like, not all those people are really going to serve me? You
Right.
know, like it
Yeah.
doesn't, we're not going to be able to do anything for each other.
Right.
You know, maybe
Right.
we'll be friends and we can say hello, but pick two, pick three,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and make that a solid relationship. And I really started honing in on that about 10 years ago. Just because there was a point in life, I mean, I was building the business that I was in, but I was also thinking about what is my brand? Who am I? Right? Who am I even outside of
Yeah.
this? And I think one thing I did really well was whenever I would meet somebody, especially even if they were referring to the business that I was building, they always had my cell phone number.
There you
I
go.
gave my cell phone number out a lot
Mm.
to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
even if they didn't ask for it. I'd
Wow.
say, here's my cell phone number.
Okay.
I think it instills a lot of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's you saying like, hey, I want you to have this. Please call me if there's anything I can do for you.
Yeah.
Right. And how that served me well was when I needed people, you know, when I lost my job,
Mm-hmm.
people started flooding my texts
Wow.
and my phone calls like so much as they found out.
Yeah.
What can I do for you?
Yeah.
Who can I introduce you to? Can you help me with this?
Wow.
And that's how I started my consulting business, was people reaching out to me or connecting me to people.
Yep.
I had no business plan, I had no website, I had nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a business bank account yet, you
But
know.
you had invested in those connections.
Yeah. And it just happened. And I was like, look at this. You know, so my point to that is not that I did anything great or special, but when you sow the seeds and you sow into people and you sow into those relationships, you will get it back.
Yeah.
You absolutely will.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where the giving tree led me.
Oh, well done. Full
Yes.
circle. Brought that back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and I kind of wanted to circle back. So you shared when you were younger and you first read The Giving Tree, how you were able to see it from a couple of different lenses. So now all these years later, now you brought it back to our conversation. What is your summation of the heartbeat or the lesson from The Giving Tree?
Now I look at it as, I think it was a love relationship, right? I mean, it was a tree and a kid, so you know, an inanimate object and a human being, but it was a love relationship, right? And there were different needs and different things that each was able to give at different moments during the course of life, right? Whether we're talking the boy's life or the tree's life. And it's the same thing, right? Like sometimes you're the one who needs something and you're either asking or somebody just knows that you need that provided.
Yes.
And then you might be on the other side of the coin at another period of life, you know, where you're the giver and you're the one who's showing up to help someone. So I think that's truly what I think the essence of that story was when it was written.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, there's been so many debates, you know, just on that book alone, and it's such a small story. And it's funny how strong people's opinions are, you know, of each side of that book, you know, especially the little boy, like he's such a taker and he's only thinking about himself. But I know how you can see it that way. But if you read it and you think about it as like, these are just two souls who love each other. And they're showing up for each other in very different ways in very different times.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like the answer to most every question is it depends.
It's true.
And I feel like that's kind of to settle a bit of a debate. Like it depends, right? What lens are we looking at? Which, you know, the heartbeat of love. I like how you articulated sometimes we are the giver ourselves. Sometimes we're the one who receives. And if we're the one who is in need and we don't fess up and give somebody who we're in a relationship an opportunity to give into us, we're like blocking the flow of love.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful how God designs us to ebb and flow. We get to experience both sides of that. And if we hole up and isolate, we're not in that flow.
It's so true. And I think so many people are trained almost, or, you know, it's just ingrained in you to like, don't ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, that's when I said like I can do this. Like I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
Nobody else needs to worry about this. Like, you know, I don't need anybody to take care of me. I'll handle it. But then every time I said that, the wall was just going up and up and up and up and up. Right. And I think a lot of people do that, you know, and it's just kind of society,
Sure.
and it's
Sure.
unfortunate because we're kind of taught like, don't ask for handouts, don't ask for help, don't, be strong, especially if you're a woman,
Sure.
be strong, stand up for yourself,
But I would say
take
for
care of
men
it.
too,
Yeah.
men, especially if you're a man,
Yeah.
like we're all taught,
Yeah.
be strong,
Yeah.
suffer in silence,
Yeah.
selfless is the goal.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, men are definitely taught not to
Yeah.
ask for help and
Yeah.
not, so I always wonder what it was like, like decades and decades ago and how different communities existed, like in the 50s and even earlier than that. Some of these
Sure.
even primitive communities, and just they were a tight-knit group and they all showed up and gave and received and it was all
Mhm.
so collaborative.
Yeah.
And how much better would life be today if people were more like that?
That communal living.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like a puzzle where each piece fits into each other. Like
Yeah.
it's got a gap and a fit and a gap and a fit. And if we come together, we make the bigger picture.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. That communal living is a beautiful concept. And I think it reminds me of that saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And we get that.
I was just thinking that same phrase, it takes a village. Yeah.
Yeah. So we obviously get that from those days
Yeah.
when children would come, maybe they got kicked out of the hut in the morning because mama's making breakfast.
Yeah.
And they're,
100%.
milling around and hey, don't be doing that. And
Yeah.
no running near the fire. I mean,
Yeah.
we all did our part. And we do it, I think, to the best that we can now. It's just we do have the freedom and space and cars and air condition and technology to keep us isolated. So we have to be very intentional about our connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it takes a village translates into business as well. Having been a leader and now just like owning my own company. I mean, I'm still just me and my own company, but I've led people for years and I've been a manager and a director and, in that kind of executive role for many years. And you have to be okay with saying like, I cannot do this all myself, because I will be the first to admit that I was the yes girl. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. I can do it better.
Yeah.
I can do it faster.
Yeah.
No, thanks. I don't need your help. Right. I was that for years.
Yeah.
And then you burn yourself out and then you're like, okay, something's got to give.
Something's got
right?
to give.
But as you start to just really acclimate to what it takes to make a business flow and what it takes to make things run, you grow as a leader and you start seeing like, it's okay to empower your team and empower other leaders and mentor and grow other leaders. Right.
Yes.
I mean, that's something that I hold very dear is just having been able to sow into so many people and not just show up as their business leader, or manager, but show up as just a mentor, or just a safe space that people could come and talk to.
Yeah.
Right.
A friend.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many stories, like personal stories that I heard over the years that people would just, because when you're in an office setting or a company setting, you're with those people 40, 50 hours a week, right? So you do see them more than your husband or your kids or, your parents. So you get that closeness of a relationship, right? But I mean, I walked people through parents dying, through divorces, through other bad family tragedies, through illnesses, through car accidents, through COVID,
Yeah.
I mean, these were all things that while I was definitely helping and sewing into people, it strengthened me, right? And it gave me resilience to know like this is making me stronger by having the opportunity to lead these people.
And
it takes a village. It takes a village. Like everybody, everybody has a job, but let's not like pigeonhole anybody, right? Like let's jump in and just really collectively make this a team, And I think now that I am, especially in the consulting world, I see that not all teams are true teams, They're all kind of like, well, this is mine and this is yours and I don't do that, or we can't be doing the same project. And it's eye-opening, because that's not how I run a team and it's not how I ever have. And I'm just like, wow.
That the rigidity just causes scratchiness.
Yeah, it does. So that it takes a village just is a great phrase for business as well because of that.
Yeah. It's applicable. Sure.
Yeah.
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 And for us to be able to be, like you said, both the giver and the receiver in different parts of our lives, because we never know when we're going to go through a personal challenge. We never know what the trajectory of, the business plan looks like, as you've shared with us. And so for our ability just to tap in, to be present, to be available, and just be flexible.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
It is. It is. Yeah. I have a friend, Jan Goss, and she wrote a book, and her kind of whole platform is called Show Up Well.
Yeah.
And I just think of that often because I'm always talking about showing up for people, right? But show up well for people. Show up well for yourself.
Yes.
We'll have to give her a little nod in here, but
a little shout out. We'll tag her.
But yeah, I mean, it just resonates, right? Like, don't just showing up just means like you're going to a party and you stand in a corner and you don't talk to anybody, right? Showing up well means your friend invited you, you're coming with your spouse, you have an opportunity for a couple of hours away, out of work, away from the kids, to just be around community and family or friends or whoever it is, to have a good time, maybe have a great meal. Like show up well for that moment, show up well for the person that you came with, show up well for the people that invited you. And that can be in any situation, right? Whether you're asked to come to a meeting, whether you're asked to speak on a stage, whether you're asked to come to a podcast, whether you're asked to just attend a business meeting, right? Show up, but show up well, like do it well, give it everything, like be truly who you are. And that's kind of circles back into your unacquired voice, right? Like strip away all that stuff that's been just weighted upon you throughout the years and just show up as who you are, because your voice, your true voice, is going to make you the best leader in any situation that you're in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And how we do anything is how we do everything.
Yes.
Right? So we can look at one slice of the pie. How did I show up in that business meeting? How did I show up in that conversation? Am I truly present? Or do I, one time I was at a networking event and they were trying to teach us about the power of being in the moment. And they coached us to say, okay, now you're having a conversation with it and look at your watch or look over their shoulder, like you're looking for that next person to walk in. And within like 0.2 seconds of that experience, you're like, ooh, I feel dismissed. I feel not valued. I feel not important. And so just eye contact, listening, not just to wait my turn to speak, but to truly understand.
Yes. And I think in those types of situations, I always say, like, ask questions. Like get to know the person that you're talking to outside of what do you do?
Right. Do you have a favorite like icebreaker intro question that you use?
It depends. A lot of times I'll just kind of find something about the person. If I don't know them, I've like never met them at all, but I'm like, that looks like an interesting person. I've used kind of like, I love your dress. Please tell me where you got it. Like you look fabulous. Like this color looks great on you. And then it just goes naturally, right? Like maybe 5 minutes down, you're talking about what you each do for work, right? And it depends on the environment of the event too. Like if it's specifically a business networking, you get into that conversation a little faster. I had a gentleman though. I was at my chiropractor's office. This was about 1.5 years ago. And this is the best thing anyone has ever asked me. He looked over at me and he was like, I don't know, said something like, I like your socks or your like leggings or whatever. I was like, oh, thank you. And he was like, my name's blah, blah, blah. And I said, nice to meet you. I'm Carrie. And he goes, well, tell me, Carrie, what's your biggest contribution to this world? And I was like, and I was laying on a therapy mat, like getting like a roller massage at the time. And I was like, wow.
You're like, can I have some prep time for this one?
I know. It's like, come back in 5. No, but my first reaction, I was like, wow. I go, I love that question. I'm like, I've never been asked that before. And you just blew my mind.
Wow. That'll wake you up.
But then he just kind of kept staring at me like, so what's your answer?
He's like, I'm on to you.
Yeah. But I mean, like we ended up talking for like 10 minutes and it was just a really beautiful conversation, And I mean, he was an older gentleman and just it was a great human connection.
That's
But
beautiful.
that question, I was like, oh
We're
man,
getting to the heart
I
of
might
it.
use that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I have two that come up. I'd like, to your point, it depends, right, in the situation, because we've decided it depends is the answer to everything here.
Yes.
So if it's introductory, maybe, you're still kind of warming up, you're not quite sure. What brought you to Texas, I find, is a really good
Love that.
kind of opener. It could be a guy, it could be a job, a gal,
Yeah.
what have you. So it's a good opener. And one that I think it carries a little bit more oomph to it would be, what are you working on that excites you right now?
I like that. Yeah.
I've heard that one before, and I'm like, that one, that's just
a
their
good
eyes start
one.
lighting up, and we're like, oh, we're getting to it now.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And that gives people a chance to answer outside of this wall, right?
Yeah.
So if you are at a business networking event,
Yes.
maybe that answer has nothing to do with their business
Right.
or their job, right? Maybe it's they're doing a family project, or maybe they're remodeling their house or something, or they're working on taking planning a big vacation for the summer, right? So, I mean, I love that question because it does give you so many areas that you can answer in.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's something they're excited about, then I'm about to see this person's heart.
You get to see their true essence and soul, and just like what's their driver.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I was kind of waiting for you to say it, but you haven't. And so I feel like I want to offer it up there. But you've said, and I think you named a talk, your network is your net worth.
Yes.
And I just, I never tire of hearing the message, hearing the points, hearing your experience about that, because of course you're living the life. And I feel like I'm in that vein as well, living that life as well, where it's just like the investment in people is the number one most important reason we're here, right? To just
100%.
sit around acquiring skills or, dollars in the bank. Those are all definitions of success in one value or another. But to be able to get to the end of my time on this earth and to know that I poured my heart into people, I just don't think there's any higher calling.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So yes, the talk you're referring to is a TEDx that I did in November. The title was Connected Commerce: Why Your Network is Your Net Worth. And I had been selected for the TEDx kind of near the beginning in the spring of last year. And then May came, and that's when I lost my position. And so I kind of knew what I wanted my talk to be, but I hadn't really like dialed it in yet. And then it just, my personal story became part of that. And then just the life that was happening for me and the people that were showing up really wrote that talk for me, because I was like, this is what I've always done. I've built community, and I've been a connector of people, and I led a women's networking group for 3 years. And so like I've always been that person, and that's always been my vision, is like I just want to help people, and I can connect people, and like, oh, Angie, oh my gosh, you should meet this person. Like you guys are in the same space, and you probably have a really great conversations, or you live close to each other, or oh, you need a plumber. I just had this really great guy last week. Like that's just always top of mind for me. And I'm always constantly thinking about that and churning that in my mind. And then again, like I said earlier, when it happened for me and people started showing up, I was like, wow, my network really is my net worth, because now they've created this business for me that I might not have thought about doing on my own, right? I don't know that I would have said, I'm going to start a consulting business, right? But it just happened so organically and so naturally. And that's why the title was what it was. And my story, my personal story, became part of that talk, which was very timely.
And when you gave that talk, I just had an image of like a trapeze net. So you're up here doing the thing, and when you fall, you are caught by this web of people who love you. And you're not going to fall to your death. No.
Thank goodness.
You will rebound even better than before.
Yeah. It stripped away all the fear of what was next. That whole thing was such a mixed bag of emotions. I remember coming home and telling my husband I was angry about the situation and how it was handled. I would have done it differently. But when I came home, I was like, I feel freed. I was like, I feel like, I don't want to say shackles, but, I just feel like there's this weight lifted, right? Like I no longer, because I knew I wasn't in alignment
Mm,
anymore. I
mm,
knew it. I felt it in my gut.
mhm.
I saw things happening, starting to shift, and I wasn't sitting well with it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I also didn't have the courage yet to
Yeah.
leave on my own accord.
Yeah.
So, as we all, sometimes things are just set in motion for us,
Yes.
and that's what happened. And in the moment, I think I was maybe angry for a couple of hours, but
Yeah.
then I was just like, well, this feels great not to have to go there,
Yeah.
I think when you're doing something that you're not in alignment with, you start to build up resentments.
Sure.
You start to feel kind of the ick in certain
Yeah.
areas. You know that you're doing things that, you're not 100%
Yeah.
like sitting right with, things that maybe you
Your
don't
your
agree
impact
with.
is limited, as
Yeah. And
effective.
especially when you start seeing it affect people
Yeah.
that you love and respect,
Yeah.
it becomes really difficult. And I think that was the catalyst for me feeling free, is like I no longer have to feel like that,
That's right.
and I don't have to watch the people that,
Yeah.
that I brought on, or the people that I love and worked with every day,
Yeah.
feel that as well.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. The power of alignment is it's a rib bone that I'm chewing on and I'm not done
yeah.
with. I am
Yeah,
not done with that. The
exactly.
concept is so big. I mean, to that day of the TED Talks, the TEDx Round Rock Women last year, you gave your talk, Teresa gave hers on the power of
Mhm.
how misalignment can be dangerous.
Yes.
And I just, being a chiropractic patient, learned
Uh-huh.
about the power of alignment in your
Yes.
spine. We know about the power of alignment in your car because you can feel that one. And of course, that was also in Teresa's talk. But for my mind, I thought from a work perspective, like I've had this job and I'm doing this thing and I'm doing the best I can. But when it shifted for me and I've pivoted here and now I'm living an opportunity where I'm pursuing what's really in my heart, what I
Mhm.
think that feel aligns with my values, I'm like, this is alignment.
Yeah.
This is flow. This is the goal.
Yeah,
It's not just a want to have, it's a need to have. So
exactly.
we are having our greatest impact in the world.
I believe so, and it takes a while to get there, I mean, not everybody, some people don't ever get there, which is unfortunate, and so I'm grateful that I'm now feeling that power,
Mhm.
and what that really means to be aligned.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's such a just different shift of mindset,
Yeah.
right? And I love walking into, now that I own my own company, like I get to pick who I want to work with,
Yes, you
right?
do. Yes, you
Like
do.
if I'm not feeling it, I
Mm-mm.
can say no,
That's right. That's
and
right.
to not have ever been in that situation before, because I've always been an employee. And I'm not hacking on having a
Right.
job or a
Right.
W-2, like
Right.
everybody's done it. And believe me, owning a company is not for
Right.
everyone. I promise you that.
Sure.
But I do want everybody, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad or part-time whatever, or founder of a company or bigwig CEO, like find a way to find alignment,
Yes.
and that
Yes.
means in a lot of different verticals, not just in your day-to-day professional life, but in your family life, in your faith, in your community,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
there's so many different facets of alignment. And if one gets really out of whack, it just throws the other ones down like dominoes,
Yes, it
right?
does.
And it takes a while to kind of recalibrate it all.
Right. And it takes some time to do the work,
Mhm.
right? To sit with it.
Yeah.
And like you said, to look at all facets of our life because we do have different slices of the pie.
Mhm.
The work, the home, the family, the church, the community. And so just to sit there and to take the time. I think for me, in these conversations that I'm getting to have with leaders like yourself and other folks that are generous enough with their heart and their time to join us in this conversation, I am trying to put out into the world it matters to take time to have a deep conversation
Yeah.
with each other, with ourselves,
Mhm.
with our bigger vision of who we're supposed to be in the world. And that's really kind of to me the definition of alignment is doing our part to serve something greater than ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you find those deeper moments for relationships, whether it's your spouse, your kids, your friends, whoever. Um, you know, I know for me, my husband and I have a deeper bond now because we're both kind of working for the same thing, right? He left corporate America at the end of 2024. And that was a decision we made together, because I knew where he was, and he was just not happy in the corporate world anymore. And he had a really great opportunity. So I was like, yes, you do it. I'm behind you. I have a great job. We can sustain on my salary. I'll be the bridge, right?
Yeah.
And then my bridge blew up in May. And
Oy.
so we were in a situation where we're like, huh,
Hmm.
well, this is interesting. What do we do now?
Mhm.
And of course there was stress and like fright. We were both really scared about like what comes next or what are we going to do, and like just kind of scrambling. I think that's why I started panic applying
Yeah.
to so many different jobs.
Yes.
But then as I was doing that, I was like, oh God, I hope they don't call me.
Oh, yeah.
Because like my soul was like, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Great money, great opportunity on paper, but I
Yeah.
was like, I will be miserable.
I know.
you know
I know.
and I think, again, just through it all, like things just started happening behind the scenes, and honestly, before I knew it, I had a full slate of clients. I was working more than full time.
Yeah.
But happily so. Like I was excited to be doing these things, and I was on track to make more money than I had ever made annually in a job.
Wow.
And I was just like, how did this happen? And it all happened so fast, and it just all kind of landed very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is
Wow.
crazy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this is just fun. I'm just having a great
Yes,
time.
I
I'm just
know. I
having
know. I
fun.
love these
Just
conversations. Yeah.
hearing you highlight so many different just parts of your journey from the very beginning through the tumultuous turns to, and it's getting real exciting up in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've shared a couple of your books that have really touched your heart. Were there any other books or anything else you'd like to share with us that excites you that you're working on?
Yeah. I mean, I will say some other ones that really have spoken to me and have bled into me in building community, building connections, building relationships. One is Personality Plus.
Okay.
And there's a million different versions of that now, like the Enneagrams, and there's a bunch of different but that was the one I read a long time ago.
Mhm.
But it opened my eyes to different types of personalities, right?
Yeah.
And what gets you going, what you shouldn't say, how to show up in a relationship with people or a friendship, but also how to manage people,
Yeah.
how to lead people. And so I started incorporating some of that stuff. When I would hire people, I would have conversations without being direct of like, take this test,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I would ask questions that would cue me into like, how do they learn? How do they
Mm.
like to be managed? Do they need more hands-on? Do
Mhm.
they just want to be left alone?
Mhm.
So it's helped me become a better leader over the
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
And so any kind of book in like that kind of category is really
Yeah.
great.
So some insight.
Yeah. And a couple other ones. One is called, oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Something, the Nordstrom Way.
Okay.
That was one I read that one a long time ago, and Nordstrom is known for their like over the top exceptional customer service. And this book tells you like how people are trained. And now it might be a little different now because I feel like it's not as great as it used to be. Sorry, Nordstrom. But I mean, they were like top level,
Yeah.
top tier customer service, right? And like, shouldn't every business be like that? Whether you're a doctor's office,
Sure.
whether you're cleaning chimneys,
Yeah.
whether, you work at a gas station,
Right.
customer service. So that's always been a super important part of everything that I've instilled in any company that I've worked for is number one, your team culture, your staff culture is the heartbeat of any business.
Yes, it is.
Because if it's good, people will feel it. It will palpate to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody that walks in the door is going to feel it.
Yeah.
If it's bad, they're also going to notice that,
Yep.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's your number one priority in any business is
Yeah.
take care of your team.
Yes.
Like they are your family, they are your lifeline,
Mhm.
whether you're the owner, the manager, or you're just working side by side with somebody, like take care of the people in that circle.
Yes.
And then that becomes the lifeline to your patient client
Mhm.
culture, and experience.
Yeah.
And that experience for somebody as a consumer should always be top notch. I
Sure.
want that as a consumer,
Yes.
but I also know that if I'm on the other side of something, I want to provide that.
Yes.
And so I work with business. That's one of my pillars that I work with businesses on is like, let's really take a look at,
yeah.
how are things working internally?
Yeah.
Whether you have two people or whether you have 50,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
still the same concept.
Yep.
And then let's look at how that all translates to and affects your clients, your patients, your customers.
Mhm.
So, so that one was just,
That kind of matches
it's like a basic book, but
no,
I
but
mean, it's
it matches
so,
your
so good.
show up well
Yes.
point,
Yeah.
right? It's the heartbeat. It's whatever I do, I'm going to do it well.
Yeah. And then like Good to Great is one that a lot of people have read. So I'm sure a lot of people will know that one.
Yeah.
That's always a favorite. But yeah, anything that just talks about relationships, those are the ones that always stuck out to me. I mean, I've read a lot of business books and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like, strategy books, or, if you're telling me how to do a spreadsheet, great, like whatever, but if it's a book challenging your perception and your thought about people and how you relate and how you manage and how you talk to and how you work with people, that's always really like lit a light bulb in my brain.
I agree.
Yeah.
I felt like the first time when I had the first, like you're talking about, when you found the Myers-Briggs, and it kind of just shone a light on the different personalities. I kind of remember that part of my journey too, where I was like, I thought I was so unique. And I read this ENFP and I'm like, what? There's other people like me, and I felt, I didn't feel dismissed to be like categorized, but I felt seen a little bit, like I'm not just wonky and weird because I'm different than the three people that live under the roof with me. There is a reason that I'm this way, and there's a insight and intelligence, and I was like, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, to be able to partner it together with this person's more extroverted, this one's more introverted, just having the knowledge, it empowers us to be more effective.
Yeah. And it's right in lines with kind of like the 5 love languages and that style of book and conversation, like how do you show up for people? Like what speaks to them? Maybe you might be doing your own love languages for someone else and they don't care.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for them. And they're just like, yeah, thanks for making the bed. You should do that every day anyway. I mean, where that person might think like, I made the bed today. I made the bed for you.
Yeah.
Because I know that you like the bed made.
Right.
And you're like, that's great. You should make it every day. Like that's just, that's like a basic human thing that should be done. I mean, I've heard those conversations and it's funny, but at the same time, you're like, you kind of got to know, like, are you a words of affirmation person? I always joke, like I'm all 5, right? Like, and I think we all are to some level, I'm like, always give me all the gifts, but I'm a words of affirmation and quality time.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And other people are physical touch. And I always forget what the 5th one is, but
there's acts of service.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is maybe the making the bed, right? I was curious. So once I learned about the 5 love languages, I was like, oh man, this is cool to have this insight. And then I got a little like wonky in my brain when they said like, well, what if like I prefer to receive gifts, but when I show love, words of affirmation, right? Like it's different. Like just because you prefer to receive it one way doesn't mean that's how you give it. And I just thought that was a bit of a boomerang curveball for me. I was like, oh, so many variables.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah, I agree with that. What are your love languages?
I'm similar to you. I'm a words of affirmation and quality time person.
Okay.
Faux show.
Yes. But also buy me gifts.
I mean, I'm not going to say
I will never
no.
deny them.
/ food.
Yes.
I like food.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah. It doesn't always have to be a big giant, it doesn't have to be a diamond, anything,
You know what? This is I felt a little embarrassed. Oh, I had an opportunity to go to a networking event last week, and it was a great opportunity. It was a lot of women. It was all love time. And there's this photo, and you see these people and there's me by the food. I was like, I was not having a deep conversation in that moment. I was checking out the charcuterie board. Okay.
You're like, not fair. Not fair.
I was caught red-handed on that social media post. Well, there you have it.
A girl's got to eat.
Girls
right?
got to eat. Keep my sustenance. I was like, oh, there I am.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. But it was a good charcuterie board.
Hey, I love a good charcuterie. Yeah, we become really good at that. Sometimes that's like a Friday or Saturday night meal.
It's a win. It's so light, easy, refreshing, flavorful.
Yeah, watch a good movie. Yeah, it's lovely.
It's good choice. Carrie, this has been such a dynamic and wonderful conversation.
I know. I feel like we could keep doing this for like another 3 hours.
Especially if they gave us some snacks.
I know. Can we have a charcuterie, please?
Where's the DoorDash?
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to share before we finish our time together?
Gosh, we've covered so much. I would love everyone to read Voice and Vision when it comes out. It comes out on August 5th.
Okay. And
I
Amazon, LinkedIn?
It will be on Amazon. I think you'll just have to probably follow the authors and follow Coffee Milk Media to
Okay.
find out the specifics of like where and how to buy.
Okay.
I know that we will be doing a book signing sometime in August
Oh,
as well.
good.
So yeah. And again, just like Pieces to Purpose, there's some really powerhouse stories in here.
Mhm.
A few of the authors were also TEDx speakers
Okay.
with me, but not everyone. So, and there's just all different facets of life and different types of
Yeah.
stories in there. So I
I love
think,
it.
the smaller chapters make it an easy read, one a night or one, every so often. So you don't have to commit to a giant book. But
Yes.
yeah, I think it's going to be a really great read for a lot of
Well,
people.
I'm looking forward to getting my hands on a copy,
Yes.
showing up when you guys have that book signing event. But thank you, Carrie, for continuing to say yes.
Thank you.
You say
Yeah.
yes to showing up well, to telling your story, to putting it in print so we can have it at our own leisure. But
Yeah.
that you show up for moments like this too,
I
and you're
appreciate
pouring into my heart, and we're pouring out into the world, and it's a blessing. And I appreciate being able to call you friend.
Me too. I appreciate you so much. And I was so honored that you asked me. I knew that this is kind of new for you.
Yeah.
And I'm so honored to be kind of in your first range of guests.
Yes.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Excited. So you've got such a great platform and you are in such a great space. I know we've had some conversations about what you've also been going through and the trajectory that you're on. And I think you're doing great things and I really see big things for you. So I'm excited to be part of your journey as well as have you part of mine, and just continue to be great friends.
Game on, sister.
Yes.
I wish we had a cheers.
I know, that'd be great. I could do a fake one.
There we go. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for one more episode, season 2, episode 1. And we're excited to continue the conversation. If you'd like to connect with Carrie, she's found on her social media platforms,
Yes.
as am I. And just join us back, comment, share, like all the things, and have a blessed and beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in for another conversation. These conversations are aimed at empowering, educating, and just enlifting each of us up in our journey on life. I am always open to connecting with you as a potential guest or as a sponsorship opportunity. And there's ways to connect with me on my website, angiesmithsummitconsulting.com. You can book some time with me. We can chat, we can explore, and maybe we can go on the next leg of our journey together, which might even involve some life coaching. I'm here to connect, I'm here to grow, and I'm here for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I look forward to chatting and visiting again soon. Thank you.